Okay, so it's been a few days since the balance patch dropped, and as I mentioned in my breakdown, A.K.I got some new combo tools. I showed off a couple of use cases for the changes, but as things have developed over the last few days, I've realized that these combo buffs actually improve quite a lot of routes that I didn't know about. So today I'm going to break down all the new ways you can upgrade A.K.I.'s combos thanks to the Season 2.5 changes. Quick reminder before we get into it though, I'm closing in on that big 50k subscriber goal. So if you guys could hit that sub button, it would help me out a lot. And with that being said, let's get into the video. So let's just do a quick recap in case you guys missed the changes from that 90-minute long video. The two major new upgrades A.K.I has from this latest round of balance changes are these. Number one, Toxic Blossom Heavy Punch Lash has had its juggle increase value decreased, which basically just means this thing is better in juggles. You get more opportunities to juggle after this now if the opponent is already poisoned. And change number two, Heavy Kick Cruel Fate, which is this thing, the flip. If this hits an opponent that's airborne, it ground bounces them slightly higher than it used to. And the major kind of advertised side effect of this is that the ground bounce is now high enough that you always get heavy lash afterwards. So like, it doesn't matter like how close to the ground they are when you make contact. This will always bounce them high enough now for Heavy Whip to connect. So those are like the two advertised changes, and they gave a couple of example combos with the patch notes. But today I'm gonna, like I said, break down like all the actual interesting ways that you can apply these two changes, because it actually affects a lot of stuff. So common A.K.I situation: you anti-air someone with Heavy Whip while they're poisoned, like this. So this is like a standard A.K.I combo starter. If they're poisoned and they jump at you and you hit them with the whip, they get launched up into the air and you get a juggle. Now, last season, if you wanted to go for a low drive, decent damage extension off this, kind of the go-to combo is to do this. Something like that. Good corner carry, decent damage, and it only costs 1 bar of drive. But now you can take advantage of the heavy flip buff and you can do this instead. More damage, about the same corner carry, just generally a free upgrade, doesn't cost you any more resources. Okay, combo number two is also a Heavy Whip anti-air combo, but it's actually, this one's kind of situational. So, against characters with air approaches that kind of stall their momentum in mid-air before they come back down again. Previously, if you anti-aired this thing with Heavy Whip, sometimes that would happen. Do you notice how like the Heavy Whip goes up, but it hits really late in the active frames because it's kind of like, it's not making contact with Honda until he comes down and lands on it. So this happens quite a lot. And what you can actually do here, if this does happen against Honda Butt Slam, for example, is that you can actually do 2 Heavy Whips back to back. And this was possible last season, but because of the buff, you can actually now combo off this interaction. So you can do stuff like that. You get a drive rush extension afterwards, which is really nice considering that my opponent is not already poisoned when I start this, and it's actually pretty consistent. So like any move that causes your opponent to sort of stall their air trajectory way up high in the sky, you can use this against. So for example, if Bison tries to yeet out of the corner with this nonsense, you can actually snipe him out of the sky and do this same combo. And because it's the corner, you can even do big extensions like that. That's a big upgrade over the previous combo. So, combo upgrade number 3 is, and this is probably the one that I would say is the most, like, match viable of the ones in this section. So, if you hit someone with a punish counter crouch heavy kick with A.K.I at, like, max range like this, and they're already poisoned, last balance patch, your best combo choice was something like this. You would spend 2 bars of drive, and you would go for an extension into medium whip, and then you would extend into cower crouch dive. Now, in combos like this, short juggles that don't spend many resources, you can actually just one-to-one switch medium whip for heavy whip now. So, for example, if I do the exact same combo, but with heavy instead of medium, you get the exact same effect, same corner carry, same drive rush cost, but you just get a free damage upgrade, because this does more damage than this. So this is just a free damage upgrade now if you stick a heavy whip in the middle of that, which is nice. So another common situation is punish counter light serpent lash like this, which if you're reasonably close, you can actually pick up a combo off this. And before, you would do something like this, which is not great damage, but it gets you to the corner very efficiently. So it's quite a common extension to go for. And again, in this combo, you can now just one-to-one substitute medium lash for heavy lash. For the exact same combo, just more damage. So that's a nice upgrade. I like any combo upgrade where you basically just do one move different and suddenly you get like 5% more damage for no extra effort. So that's useful to know as well. So there's a few moves in this game which are forced punish counter states from an airborne approach, and the one that I usually use as the best example is DJ's jump down light kick. This thing. So if you anti-air this thing, not only does he get launched, he also gets put into a forced punish counter. And there's a bunch of cool new stuff you can do off this, because if you now go into heavy flip, this ground bounce being slightly higher actually allows you to get drive rush extensions afterwards. So you can do like a drive rush light off that, which you didn't used to be able to. And you can also do EX Fireball here, I think. Like that, which is nice damage because it's a short combo. And the really cool stuff is that if your opponent is poisoned and this happens, you can actually get a really big extension out of this. Something like that. Okay, so that was mostly focusing on sort of moderately useful, but maybe kind of situational combos. But the next set of combos that I've got for you guys are very easy to get started and will definitely become the new bread and butter in a lot of situations, mostly in the corner. The main takeaway from this recent set of updates is that A.K.I.'s corner combos are so much better now. And it's because of this change right here. So, because of the heavy whip now having better juggle potential, doing EX Fireball into heavy whip in the corner is now an extremely efficient combo route. It does great damage and it's fairly low on drive. You can also follow this up with a light whip, just like meterlessly. You can also do like a drive rush extension, and you can also do drive rush crouch jab into cower crouch dive. Like that. If you want to just keep them poisoned. I won't go through every new combo, but pretty much any time you're in the corner and you do a combo ender that leaves you +4, it is now optimal to do stand light kick into EX Fireball as your like combo route. So for example, I'll show you guys a few situations where that's important. So like something like this, stand heavy kick into heavy cruel fate, which is a very common like punish counter starter. Normally here, you would either do a meterless combo ender like this, or you would be forced to spend drive to get a drive rush extension, which wasn't very good here. Like this is a bad use of like 3 bars, I would say. It doesn't do that much damage. But now you can do this. I'm only spending 2 bars of drive rather than 3, and I'm doing more damage because of it. And you can also do this off cower crouch roll. So anytime you do stand heavy kick into cower crouch roll now, you can do stand light kick EX Fireball into whatever extension you want. Which again, that's a really nice damage improvement. You can do it off forward heavy kick. So if you're pressuring someone in the corner with this normal, you can now do stand light kick EX Fireball. Same idea again. There's so many ways you can do this because A.K.I has so many normals and specials that leave her +4. This thing's +4, this is +4, this is +4, this is +4. So like I said, do some training yourself, but anytime you've got a +4 situation in the corner now, it's almost always optimal to do EX Fireball heavy whip now. So finally, to wrap this up, let's talk about the big, flashy, max damage stuff, which I think everyone loves to see, a bit of sauce. So up until the latest update, this was A.K.I.'s absolute max damage combo. You can do this one against a few supers with extremely long recovery, things like command grab supers, but I'm going to do it on Akuma just because I hate this guy. So, this was max damage. And even the old combo, pre-buff, this did 6,952 damage. Which is already quite a lot of damage. Nearly 7k. But we can do better than that. So, if we do this exact same combo again, up until a certain point, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to save a state here. So, after this EX flip, previously we did light lash into EX fireball. But because of the buff to heavy whip, you can now do a heavy whip here and still have enough juggle points to get a drive rush normal afterwards. So it was discovered pretty quickly that you can now do heavy whip into something like this. And so we went from doing 6,952 damage up to 6,958, a whopping increase of 6. But we can still do better than that. This is not over yet. So it turns out that when you do the heavy lash here, you can actually do the quarter circle forward input and then hold forward for a couple of frames before pressing heavy punch. And if you do that, A.K.I will actually micro walk for a couple of frames, and that micro walk builds a teeny tiny amount of drive gauge. But it is enough drive to push us from having 1 bar of drive to having fractionally over 1 bar. And this allows us to do a double drive rush cancel. So, rather than doing heavy whip into drive rush heavy kick and burning out, we can now do a micro walk here like this. 2 heavy kicks. And this pushes us up to 7,019. So A.K.I now has a over 7,000 damage combo. Without critical art, by the way. This is regular level 3. She's broken the 7k mark for the first time without critical art. But I'm still not done yet. There's still one tiny optimization you can do here. So, rather than doing drive rush heavy kick into drive rush heavy kick into medium flip, what you can actually do here with the micro walk into heavy whip is you can actually do EX flip instead, which because it poisons the opponent, it does fractionally more damage than that route. And this is hard to do. I will say, in tournaments, that's what it looks like. In tournaments, I probably wouldn't go for that ender because it's extremely tight. So if you do manage to pull this off, you get 7,022 upgraded to 7,118 if you let the poison tick over. But that doesn't count. Ignore that poison extra damage. That's kind of fake damage. So just to show that whole combo from start to finish, because the save state might have made it confusing, I'll just do the whole thing in one go now. I guess I should turn on critical art just to show like the maxed out funny number, because everyone's saying do it again with CA. All right, just for the sake of the funny number. There we go. So with the CA, just for maximum clickbait. $7,357 after the fake poison damage. It was about 7,275 before that kicked in. And before someone says, yeah, okay, but that's just Akuma health, let me show you like a basic, actually practical sequence on someone with 10k health. I'm not even going to use critical art, just to illustrate how realistically viable this is in a real match. I mean, that's the slightly easier version of the combo, and that's still, I think, a 2-touch kill. God damn. Coast to coast as well. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. No CA, and that's the slightly suboptimal version. But that's the version that I would do in a real match. That's the easy one. So anyway, there you have it. Even though these changes, I think, seemed relatively minor on paper, it turns out they actually upgrade a lot of A.K.I.'s combo routes. So maybe let me know down in the comments if you guys have found any other cool new A.K.I. stuff. And I will see you guys all in the next video.